How's everybody doing? Good morning, good morning. Oh my gosh, Shorty is so funny. Like Shorty, I don't even know, like this morning she woke up and she was like in this amazing mood this morning. She was just like, let's go, Karen. We know we're gonna get up. She was like ready to go. And I'm just like, why? But we take those, it's so cute. You know what else has been like hilarious? Like I want to say, I actually love like how much people are standing for this killer right now, right? Can we talk? I love it. But then like, I think most of the people I see, right? Like you have like, I don't know if people saw Edgar's tweet. I almost like literally like brought it up because it's so fucking funny. Like his like, everybody's like thirst for this killer is like giving me life, right? The dude is like fucking hot, right? And even me, right? Yesterday, I was just like, oh, like we had our first game and the killer was AFK, right? And we're just like, ooh, hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. But then, you know, as hot as this dude is, I mean, does he have like the beautiful blank stare, the open mouth, the shoulder fur of our Billy? I mean, I don't know. I feel like Z and I are gonna be talking about this morning. I mean, he's hot and all, but what about? I mean, there's also Billy. You know what I mean? Like, you know, but can he like, you know? Yes, this dude's hot. And he can throw a million knives a minute, but like, can he also chainsaw you in the face? And does he kick his leg off, but he gets stunned? I don't think so. There's a K-pop part, right? But then the other thing I found kind of weird is, how many of you guys could start seeing these comments about people start freaking the fuck out about the possibility that this character might be gay? And how can you have gayness in their Christian video game about murdering people? That's cool. So are we gonna start being like, so are we gonna go back in time and start editing out all the sex and all the previous horror movies, right? Like Friday 13th, like, right? How many horror movies probably feature hetero couples fucking, right? Oh my God, what about the children who shouldn't be playing this video game anyway? What? Oh my God, you know, like I'm just out here trying to live. I don't want to be reminded that people that aren't like me exist. It doesn't even make sense. Like it's so crazy to me how extra people are in this community. Because you know what else it's like too? It's like that whole expectation, right? You have the people who are just like, you know, I don't know how to talk to my children about racism when non-white children have to hear these conversations all the time. If you have problems with being uncomfortable, but I don't even know, but why are you uncomfortable with these things though? Some of these things are so minor. I just don't get it. Like, this is just part of the world we live in. Like, why are you trying to like curate what's in the world you live in? I don't know, dude. People are just extra. They're just so extra. But there are things though, I do think the game is doing right now. So I do think they're doing some good things though. The colorblind options are long overdue and I'm thrilled that they put them in the game. I haven't even looked at them myself from the killer perspective, honestly. But I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled for all the people like Archdruid Dre, for example. She will be able to be the oppressive doctor. I mean, she already is an oppressive Dr. Bane, right? But she will be able to continue to be the oppressive Dr. Bane that she's already doing, you know? And then the other thing I'm super excited about is the chat filter. The chat filter is one of those things that that's one of those things that that is a tangible impact of Sisters of the Fog. And I feel like I haven't talked about it on Twitter enough, but it was really, to me, when they made that announcement, it was really, really, really important to me because it's one of those things where like, that was not Queen watching our episodes of Sisters of the Fog, talking to us. She was on Sisters of the Fog. We talked about it in the very first episode about how fucked up it is for you to be playing your video game, just enjoying yourself, and have some little turd just drop the N-word just because, you know, because he's a little angry. And they don't think twice about it because they just think that shit is edgy and cool. But for you experiencing the trauma, because it is actually traumatic being called the N-word, like Nicole Hannah-Jones, who was a New York Times journalist who founded the 1619 Project, she rightfully describes it as one of the most, it's like the most it's one of the worst words in English language, and it was used as a way to dehumanize Black people, and people just out here using casually video games like it's nothing. Like, that being said, I mean, I do think the chat filter could use some tweaking, because you know what other word you can't say in chat right now? You can't say Kern. So Kern, like for people who don't know, is like my nickname. And it comes from like people in Baltimore when they say they don't say Karen with 2 syllables. They say Kern. When they call me like they're like Kern, Kern. It's always just 1 syllable. My family's from Baltimore. My parents are from Baltimore. And so I've always grown up being used to hearing my name Karen as Kern. People tried to type my name post game chat last night and they just couldn't type it. But other words include Edgar. Edgar apparently is also censored in post game chat. It's weird. So I do think there are probably some tweaks that could happen, but at the same time, is it a big deal that people can type Kern in chat? If they can't type the N word, I don't give a fuck. I'm not gonna lie. I don't care. I'm not sure I care that much. Like, people are like, oh my god, you can't curse in post game chat. Well, sometimes I just need to say the F bomb. I don't care. They should tweak it, but honestly, I'd rather them overcorrect than undercorrect sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't care. But yeah, that's pretty much what I think. You know, I think that's pretty much where we're at. I have to say, that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about the morning show, though, is really just talking to people and getting to know people better than you already do, you know? And for me, I'm so freaking extroverted. I love chatting anyway. So this has been like the perfect opportunity. So I cannot tell you how excited I am to talk to like Z. I love her so much. Like, I think her friendship has been like one of the pleasant surprises of 2021. You know, it has to be like one of the most beautiful pleasures. If you guys don't know Zehra, of course, like she is a Twitch streamer. She was partnered almost a year ago. Her main game is DBD, but or has been in the past DBD, but she also plays a fuck ton of Phasmo and is really branching out into variety more and more. And this girl is funny as fuck and she is so good at the game. She sent me clips and I could not decide which clips to feature for her. So I kind of made a montage. Well, I didn't really make a montage. I had to refrain from making a montage, not gonna lie. So I actually wanted to make a montage, but we basically just had transitions between 3 amazing clips. If you guys don't follow her, please follow her and check out why you need to be watching her.
Get fucked!
I mean,
Is Morg here? Shit. I know this is fake as well. This is fake. That's fake. He's really slugging me for the 4K.
Hi, V3.
what a fucking god tier legend. I can't even. So I'm so excited to talk to Z. Like, what I love about her so much is that she's so fucking good at the game, but it has so much joy while playing. And this is the energy that I love the most. Gaming. She's so good. We love it. We stand. So yes, let's welcome Z. I cannot wait to talk to her and pick her brain about life. My queen, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? Like, oh my god, how are you such a goddess at this game? First question.
I'm really not.
You are, girl. Those clips, hello. So I have to say that, like, one thing I did, I was so excited about too, and I wish I had clipped the game where we did that kill your friends when I was billing against you, because, girl, the stuff when I was playing against you, I was like, this girl is so fucking good. If I got you in an actual pub game, you were like in my career. Like, I swear to God, like it's the days that you do as Survivor, I don't even think you realize how good they are and how like your good like intuition of Survivor, because I'm playing against you. I'm just like, gosh, he does some shit I have never seen before. It's awesome. Like, it's super awesome. And it's one of those things where I just think that I think when you kind of play the game all the time, you don't realize how awesome they are until somebody from the outside kind of tells you how awesome they are. And I don't even mean that me trying to kiss your ass type of way. I mean that legit. It's like you, Kittier, have that same kind of like god tier energy at this game, and they'll be like tee hee hee, I'm just talking to you guys in chat, and meanwhile in the background 50 million things that are amazing are happening. It's crazy. So yeah, so how are you so amazing at this game? Tell me your secrets.
Just have fun. I don't know. I feel like sometimes when I get into chases with killers, I just do things that I wouldn't expect somebody
Oops.
smart to do, you know?
Oh god, I just knocked my camera. Poor Shorty, poor Shorty cam.
Oh no.
All right, we good.
But if they expect you to actually play like somebody who knows what they're doing, then they're going to be able to mind game you. Because like a lot of what DBD is when you get into chases is mind gaming, right? Like each
Mm-hmm.
other. So if they expect you to play smart and you don't, they're going to play a certain way to counter that. And if you just keep W gaming and just keep swimming, they'll never expect it.
I cannot emphasize how true that is, because one of the first survivors that I ever got in the game, when as I was getting better at Billy, was Septonic, and that's what he did to me. I'd be trying to mind game around loops and this fucker be gone, and I'm like, where are you? Are you fucking serious? And then like he got me so many times. I was like, the chase went on so long, and that game would have been almost single-handedly ended by him if not for his potato ass teammates, because legit after I hooked him, I went across the map and immediately cross map chainsaw the last survivor. Like, it was so sad. And I was like, wow, you were really let down. And so yeah, it is wonderful to see. And I think that's what makes it so frustrating too, when we have mechanics in the game where no matter how good you are and how much you can mind game, right, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I know, like, so we've been good friends for like so many months, and I'm so grateful. But what I actually don't, I mean, I know how you got into streaming for sure, but I guess like I guess we should start with that question, because I know, but just for people who don't know, what did get you into streaming?
So when I've been gaming my entire life, for as long as I could remember. My older brother is 8 years older than me, so he's always had like a little bit of influence as far as gaming goes. Like he was always the one who, got the consoles first, got me into gaming. I played a lot of like Street Fighter because he would love kicking my ass and that. We played like a lot of racing games and stuff. We had a little Sega Dreamcast. We've had like all the PlayStations up until the third one, obviously. And I guess I got into PC gaming because he got me into Diablo, and I loved games like that, like RPGs and MMORPGs and stuff like that. And then I played this one horror game a couple of years ago, and my friends loved my reactions because I love screaming and like my way of like letting out, the fear that I have in my heart for like any supernatural stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they loved my reactions and they wanted me to stream, and that's how I initially got into it. And I wasn't always a full-time content creator. I was working full-time at a crisis center the moment that I had started streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And that's initially how I had gotten into it because my friends wanted to watch me and they wanted to chat with me. And that's essentially still what it is. Ultimately, it's me enjoying myself on my video games while I talk to people and enjoy, my time talking to people and playing at the same time. And they're a distraction for me when I get scared, It works out.
Totally. I I love that too. I love it because like even for me, and I don't know if I've talked well, I have briefly kind of talked about this on stream, but one of the reasons why no, actually the reason I started streaming was and I had no plans to stream, you know, like I mean I kind of thought about it at some point streaming like me doing some art, like, but I didn't really think about definitely didn't think about streaming DVD until my best friend from high school I got to visit her like the summer I think July or June 2018 like right before I started streaming and she was just like you know Karen I miss us playing video games so I'm a little older than you so when I was playing video games in college I was playing like Nintendo 64 and we were playing like do you remember like do you, like those games like there's GoldenEye but then there's also Perfect Dark which is like the kind of the sequel oh god I played the so in college I played the shit out of Perfect Dark. Like we would like a bunch of us would like always like get together at my house in like my apartment and we just like play Perfect Dark like all the time. Like and so I don't know if you guys remember like GoldenEye, Perfect Dark. That was like my shit. And so we would just all just like get drunk, like play Perfect Dark all the time. And it was just us four in the room, you know? Just having fun and just playing this damn game.
Love that.
Yeah. And it wasn't even like just same four either. Like it'd be like, you know, like different groups of us would just be like after like chemistry lab, be like, oh, what we're gonna do right now? Let's go get some beer, like play some Perfect Dark, you know?
I love that though. You guys like, you know, had a hobby and it was like a mutual hobby that you guys like spent a good amount of time on, you know, enjoying yourselves on. So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, and then you just learn like the you know like you know we start like banning certain weapons because they weren't fun, you know, and be like oh let's do a round where we just do all proxy mines, you know, like it was like so stupid. It was like so much fun, um, and so she was thinking about that. She's like you know I really miss you, and I really wish that you know I know you play this game all the time, this Dead by Daylight game. I wish I could watch you play that game. Can you start streaming so I could watch you play? And I was like okay. That's literally the reason. And she can't even watch half the time because I get stream when her kids are awake, so her kids can't watch this game, obviously, because they're too young. But then since she's actually in my Discord actually, Betty. But then like she'll watch the VOD. Sometimes she'll text me. She's like, I miss you. I was like, oh. So yeah, it's just basically kind of that shared like just having fun with your friends. Or I used to play a lot of video games with my siblings growing up, like because you and I are both like middle children. So we used to like me, my older sister, my younger brother used to sit around and play like Nintendo all the time or Super Nintendo. And it was just fun, you know, just like laughing your ass off and just having a good ass time. That's the reason why I started streaming too, honestly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Honestly. But the love for video games has like always been there, you know, for both of us. And that's pretty dope because I know a lot of people when they start streaming, it's not always like it's not necessarily about video games all the time, but it's
Yeah.
really nice that, you know, it starts from somewhere that, you know, you have like an actual passion for and a liking to. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, totally, totally. So I remember like and I told you a story briefly in Discord, but for people who don't know, so I found Z way longer before I actually followed her because I forgot because I'm a crackhead. But I had like this I need to get I need to get like this my wisdom teeth taken out a couple years like a year or two or whatever ago, and I found her stream. I was like, wow. I was like, who's? I was like, Brown Catwoman. I was like, oh, who's this? And so I'm like watching because I'm usually not up at the time where she streams, but I was like extremely tired, extreme pain, couldn't sleep. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna watch this person. I was like, wow, she is like, and I remember too. I remember specifically this game I was watching you on Larry's, like old Larry's, you know. And I don't
Yeah.
remember what the killer was. I don't remember what you were doing, but I was just like, wow, this girl's like fucking good at this game. And I was like, I need to come back and watch. And then this one of those things where you don't follow because you forget, because you think you did follow, and then you forget. And then you followed me on Twitter like a couple months later, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is the person I watched that time. I'm like, yes. And then I rated you one time, and then you're like, I watch you. I was like, what?
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah. And then a beautiful friendship began.
Yeah. I'm so happy that like you I don't know how it happened, but like I it's just so this is kind of random, but like I just wish more people would be more honest about like in the moment stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
because imagine on all the moments that we missed out on because you didn't follow or I didn't follow, and like we spent so much time just like being shy and just like not saying anything because we were like, I don't know, nervous, or just like we were in our heads and stuff. But like if I had like talked to you earlier, like I could have been friends with you earlier and we could have like gamed more, talked more. You helped me see through so much of like, ADHD, like finding out that I had it and stuff. It's just like you've been such a rock and you've been such a good friend.
Same. Like, oh, you like talked me off of so many clips recently. I cannot even tell you. Like, oh my God. So many. There's so much we can talk about. I just can't even. Like, there's just so like there's so much. There's just so much, so much, so much. There's so much love here. I love it. So I know that you, like, like I think as I kind of, we were like, becoming really good friends. That's just as you were like kind of rebranding yourself from Brown Catwoman to Zara now. And so tell me a little bit about that journey, actually.
So Brown Catman is initially like it was my name on Twitch. I had made that account like a couple of years before I actually started streaming. I don't even remember why I had made an account, but I think it was when I first started getting into PC gaming and one of my friends a long time ago had streamed something. So I wanted to follow and I made a username. But that was actually my old Instagram username and it was supposed to be just for fun. It was
Uh-huh.
just a handle. I was never meant to start streaming on it, but that name actually was inspired by Halle Berry because her
Oh.
movie in 2006, it
Uh-huh.
was the Catwoman movie. Listen, it was such a horrible movie, but she is such a beautiful woman, right?
Yes.
And
She's just crazy talented too.
exactly. And I know that she's not the first brown Catwoman, but she was the first one for me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And she was also like she was the reason that movie was the reason why I found out that I was bisexual because
Really?
I was attracted to her and she's gorgeous. Like she is my first and always will be my celebrity crush. But
She is so hot. Can we talk about your 10 out of 10 taste?
yes.
I was like, okay, yes, yes, yes. I
Okay,
can
but like
totally get that.
you've watched the movie, right? You've seen
I
how
actually
she's
have
walking.
not seen the movie. I've just seen clips from it. I've not watched the movie. It feels like, oh girl, I guess we have like a a movie we need to watch. I've not seen that movie. I've just saw like the the Razzie clips and stuff, but like I haven't actually seen the movie.
Mm-mm. Karen, after this stream, we need to plan out a movie date and we need to get you on that because it is such it's not a bad movie, but she's amazing in it. Like she's just such a wonderful woman. I love her. But like, I mean, it was inspiration enough because like from like my background ethnicity wise, I come from a pretty strict like Muslim family.
Hmm.
And the LGBTQ community, it's something that was very frowned upon, and there are only men and women and they only marry each other and anything else is just taboo and forbidden, right?
Hmm.
So for me growing in an environment like that and finding out that I'm something that my parents wouldn't approve of or that my community wouldn't approve of, it was just like an eye-opening moment for me. And that's why it had like such a big bearing on like my name and my identity, like it's more than just a name and a handle. It was my identity and who I identified with. So that's where it came from originally. But I noticed that as I started streaming more on Twitch, I would get a lot of comments about my skin tone, about like my name because it had brown in it and what it was inspired by.
Hmm.
And um, I also used to stream with a tag of LGBTQA like under my stream, but I
Hmm.
noticed that I would get a lot of people coming into my streams with the sole purpose of being hateful,
Oh
right?
God.
Because they would see that. And there are hate watchers, right? Hate viewers, people who
Hmm.
go out of their way to make people's experiences miserable just because they have nothing better to do or put their energy towards or they don't know how to redirect it. But I literally took off the tag because of that reason. And I don't know, like I felt like I needed a change and I needed something that was more accurate to who I am, and my whole, journey of like finding myself and finding out who I am and what I am and what I stand for, my values, my morals, and everything. It's just me. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to change it to my name because it is me. That's my identity. It's me. So that's why I changed it to Zahra because it's my name and it's me.
I love that. I love everything about that. I mean, I don't love like I mean, obviously less love like people like up here and hate watching, but that's life though. Honestly, like people are just extra. Yeah, I think Twitch is this. It's very interesting. That way in terms of like the lack of. I mean, not even support, but I mean, I don't know. There just needs to be higher standards on Twitch in general for so many things. So many things.
Hmm.
And so um in terms of your community, one thing I've always, and I've talked to you so much about this, and I want to say it again, but the thing I love about your chat and your community in general is that people, I just love how, like, in your community, people can just be their awesome, honest selves unabashedly. There's no like gatekeeping or trying to tell what people what's cool, what's not cool, whatever. People don't, I have that sense that people aren't really pressured to be anything but themselves and their amazing selves, just as they are in your community. And I think that's so fucking powerful. So I just want you to talk a little bit about that. How do you foster such a welcoming community? What's your
I
philosophy?
think, I've always gone, I don't know, like working at a crisis center and stuff, it's taught me to be, patient with people. It's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of patience, and patience, like I know why they say it's a virtue, but
Yeah.
it's you just, I don't know, like we've learned like the concept of respect at such a young age, right? And just being kind to like everybody, no matter what the circumstances are, you have to find it in yourself to see the silver linings in situations and to be kind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really easy for me to treat people the way that I would want to be treated. And because I am unabashedly myself, and because I am always honest, and I try to stay genuine and helpful all the time, I think it's easy for people to understand that they can also be themselves around me, because I would also want them to see me for who I am. So I'm always going to want to foster that type of community where people can be themselves. And, you know, the whole reason why I started full time is because I could not work at the crisis center anymore, but I wanted to help people in a non direct way. And sometimes it's just about having a place to go to where you can feel safe, where you can feel like you can be yourself, where you don't feel like you have to put on a guise of being something else or hold yourself back from saying things that you normally wouldn't say because you're afraid of being judged. I
Yeah.
just want people to be themselves, and I want people to enjoy their time. As long as they stay respectful, like that is all I ask for.
Yeah, and I love it. And I think it's just so clear. And like whenever like, I pop into your chat, like it's clear. It's clear that's like the philosophy you have. And I wholeheartedly agree. And part of me always wonders like, is it, because I think you and I are so similar that way, in terms of, really valuing just allowing people to be their true selves, and I think that is one of those things where I strongly believe that society would be so much better if people didn't feel like they're like these, you know these rules that you have to live by, these like this way you have to be, like focus more on being kind, and accepting people for exactly what they are, right? Because like for I think for people like us, right, it's like when people are freaking out about, oh my god, they might put a character who's gay in this video game, how dare you, we don't really fucking get it, you know what I mean? We're like, but like
Yeah.
why would you not want to just like, but was that, why would you not like want to exclude people just based off of that, though? That has nothing to do with anything, like it
Yeah.
doesn't really even make sense to me. And then the other thought I always have about it too is that, 'cause I've been thinking about this a lot recently too, is that because for me, authenticity and being honest and always presenting your true self has been an important value of mine since I was very young. Um, and it's interesting too because I didn't grow up in a very strict household, but I grew up in a household where my father, actually I'll talk a little bit about this. My father was closeted for his basically his entire life. So he's closeted. He's my dad's gay, and so but he was very much in the closet for his entire life, and so and he didn't come out until like 2001, I think it was. So basically, growing up, you know my dad, because he was appearing as this straight dude, straight family man to everybody, he very much was like always had a lot of like really homophobic language and stuff. But when I was in high school, I found his gay porn stash on the computer. And I'm just like, what the hell is this? And so I talked to my mom about it, and she's like, let's have a conversation. Because she kind of
Yeah.
knew too, but she was kind of sticking with, she did know, but she's kind of sticking with it because she didn't know what to do at that point, right? It was like the 90s. She didn't know what to do with this information. Like she wanted to keep our whole family together, it was all this stuff. Um, and so basically, but long story short, I kind of saw the consequence of being being that person. You had to kind of have that front and appear to be something that you're not, and he just like he was just so hard on people who deviate from the norm. And so for me, with growing up as a young girl with untreated ADHD, I always deviated from the norm. I was always fucking weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was always kind of getting in trouble for the most random shit, and I was always kind of like, I was always kind of out there because I was so unfiltered and so, and so, just myself all the time. But my dad could never be himself, and so we always conflicted because of that reason, like, and still even now, even though he's out, he's still like, girl, you need to lose some weight, or girl, you blah blah blah, always like, what's wrong with me, constantly, you know what I mean? And I'm just not about that life, just like, I don't know, I kind of love myself, I don't really
Yeah, exactly.
you know
It's good that you got to that point, honestly. I think it's really easy for people to just like it's very easy for people who don't know themselves or who aren't okay with themselves to point fingers at other people. You know what I
yeah.
mean? I think it's very easy for because they're so used to being inside of this box that when they see somebody else going out of that box, it's easy for them to point and say, go back in to that box and be what you're supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it's one of those things where it's as people are trying to find online communities, I think it's something to watch for too. Like, people who are kind of like really hard on people and hard on themselves too, by the way,
Yeah.
are things to kind of really watch for. I mean, there's like the jokey part of yourself, like, hee, I'm low boosted this game. That's one thing, right? But like, the constant like self-flagellation, it's one of those things where that's something that, starts to spread out to other people too, and you can
Absolutely.
and I think you can tell that's a person where, like, that's a person that might be going through their own things. And so just be aware is what I would say. But where I was going with that though, to be like, I didn't respect it to deviate there. I don't know why that kind of, I do know why it popped into my brain, but I was really thinking of it from a perspective of, I think it's inherently hard for people with ADHD to kind of put on the facade, because I don't know if we can constantly, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's already so much going on in our brains that having to like just be this thing that people want us to be that we aren't would be too difficult. It's not just it would be difficult, it would be impossible.
I think so, because I
It takes
remember
too much of our energy to be something that we aren't, you
I,
know?
I totally agree, because I remember so when I graduated from grad school, right, and I first like started working, I was like, I'm gonna be serious. That's why I was like, I'm gonna be serious, Karen. It's time. I'm gonna, like, I have this degree, I have these like letters behind my name. It's time. I'm gonna be respectable. And that literally was like 2.5 days is how long that lasted. Okay. And so what happened is I was on call overnight, and the next morning I drank way too much caffeine, and I was like talking to my my higher ups, and I was like laughing my ass off because I was so hyper. I could not stop laughing, and everyone's like, "What is wrong with this person?" And I was like, "Okay, well, it's over." And I was like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna be me." It took like 2.5 days, and I was like, all right, well, I guess we're not doing this. It's not gonna work. Oh my god. All right, so the one thing that I just want to talk about a little bit is, I think that of all the things that DBD's done recently, the chat filter thing means a lot to me. It means a lot to me
Yeah.
that they did that. It means a lot to me that they really are taking the time to finally kind of make their community safer for people, and so I kind of want to get your thoughts about that.
I do think that the chat censorship was a really good idea. I think it was a long time coming, and I'm glad that they finally implemented it into the game for sure. Um, but the colorblindness thing, that too, like that was a long time
A
coming. I'm
long
very
time.
happy with that. Yeah, I think that I'm glad that they took the feedback of the community, and that means a lot to me because that was my biggest problem with the most recent
Mm-hmm.
changes and like the whole thing that happened on Twitter. It was just like for me, it was that I personally felt like the team that was supposed to be listening to the community wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
And I felt like I wasn't the only person who was experiencing that either. And I was very passionately angry and disappointed.
Yeah.
and I expressed that online.
Yes, and I was with you because, like, you know me, girl. I'm like the champion of the PTBs. I love playing the shit out of a PTB,
Mhm.
and I was so betrayed. And I have and it sounds like such a strong word, right, to say you're betrayed, but it feels like I do feel like I was betrayed. Like we literally
Yeah.
laid out so clearly, what the concerns are with the PTB, right? Like it was clear. I know I made jokes about like, oh, well, all I care about is the fact that I can crouch and teabag while flashlight saving, which is not wrong. Like it is mostly what I care about, but I also care about, like, I agree with all the other issues too, you know?
Mhm.
Like, and then we have Griff, not Griffin who just rated me, which we love, we stand, but the other Twitch Griff, he like took the time, made a fucking survey, aggregate this data, presented them like, hey, this is what we think about the PTB. It's like hundreds of gamers have filled this out, okay? And they just released it as is.
Yeah. I put up like an review on Steam too. Like I granted I was pretty angry like in the moment, I'm not gonna lie. But I think that when I worded it, I said it exactly how I felt. And I still do feel this way where like I said that if the game didn't have monopoly over this genre, and there are so many games that have tried, like Hide or Die, for example,
Uh-huh.
or last
F13.
year, and there are so many games that have tried and have just like died because DBD has so much like licensing and they have rights to so many different things and it's been out the longest time and because it's got such a big following and like so many contracts and so much licensing and stuff, it's kind of hard to compete, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like because they have monopoly, they're able to do what they want to make their money. And I understand that and I respect that because as a company, you are always constantly trying to grow. You are always trying to go to the next big thing. I completely understand that. But at the same time, what are you without your community? And I
Right.
don't feel like they were listening. I feel like they, as far as like public test betas go, it felt like early access more than anything because there was a ton of feedback that I feel like they completely disregarded. You know what I mean? But with the recent changes that I've seen, like I do see them trying to make a comeback. I do see them trying to do the right thing. And it's not always going to happen. Just like, how Twitch tried to change woman to wom XN, which
Oh
was
God.
completely stupid,
Oh
but they
God.
realized their mistake. They realized their mistake. That is an entirely different subject, but they're trying. And that's what matters. And as a gaming company that's trying, that's all I'm asking for because they're all humans at the end of the day, working behind computers, working, doing their own thing. We're also human. We all make mistakes. But as long as you're trying, and I see them doing that with the chat filters and the colorblind mode and actually taking the feedback of the community. That's all that matters. Because if they're trying, there is room for improvement and the improvement will happen eventually, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
Hopefully.
even right, it's like, because I do resent the fact that I'm just like, oh, you guys are scrambling to make these changes we told you about months ago. But like,
Mhm.
they did it though. You know what I mean? They did it. They did it. And so, all they need to do is like, get rid of overheat, and then the games will be great. Like.
Yes,
like
agreed.
I like
We can get our bellies back,
like we need
please.
like where have all the Billies gone? I definitely am not, I'm definitely am playing a week of us talking about Billy in June for sure. Like it's been a year since our Billy was I don't want to say castrated, that's such a strong word, but there's something there, he definitely had something to him done to him
There's
that was not
something been
okay.
taken away. Mhm.
And so anyway, yeah, it's wild. It's wild. There was something else I was gonna ask you too before we wrapped up, but I don't remember what it is. I'm sure it'll come to me. So what's the perk you can't live without?
Empathy. I love empathy because listen, no matter what I'm running as far as like my build goes, I love running empathy because I like knowing where my friends are when they're injured so I can go and like try to take aggro or like help them out somehow. It's the fun.
It's it's funny too. 'Cause I'm always like I've been, as you know, I'm a dedicated Bond hoe, and I feel
Mhm.
strongly that I like Bond more than empathy. However, when Claudette had her tome and you had to run empathy, I definitely ran both Bond and empathy. I ran the both, and empathy is actually quite useful because I was like, oh, somebody is in danger. I can kind of just mosey my way over there early.
Yes.
And even though I do believe that like the reason why I don't love it is because honestly, you really should be like ambulance chasing across the map. You kind of should be, you also have to, actually do some of the objective to actually leave the game.
Uh,
But
I know you
Still,
and generators don't get along well, Karen.
they sure don't. Yeah, the amount of 0 point objective games I have is large. It's true. Like it's large. It's a large amount actually. But you know, like that's why empathy is so good, because sometimes like, oh, where are you? I have to be like, okay, wait, where are you at? And then it's trying to figure out where you are and like run around the map until I get within 36 meters, versus like me just looking and seeing your bright green ass across the map and be like, all right, I'm a beeline over there. You're not wrong. If you had kind of one wish for this game, what would it be?
Hmm. I think it is what I mentioned earlier about them just listening to the community a little bit more, you know? I feel like I've seen certain things uh, where like there is a lack of communication between groups of people that work within the company. And if anything, I just hope that they're more transparent with us in the future with their plans. Because I think a lot of what people judge them on is not being transparent and telling us like their plans. And when something happens, like bugs and stuff, they're not as open as they can be, in my opinion, so that we wouldn't worry or stress about like all these things that, you know, people complain about all the time. It's the transparency between their communities and like the developer teams and the people who are supposed to be, you know, taking care of like PR.
Yeah, I think they're getting. I can see how they're getting better with time. But it seems like such a slow improvement. But I can know they're getting better. But it seems like a
Yeah.
slow improvement. But they're definitely all right. Because remember how they weren't even like these dev updates that they have, right? They literally did not even exist until like a year ago,
Yeah,
and so
exactly.
they're getting there. They're totally getting there.
It's a slow process, but it's still a process. It's still moving forward, you know, instead of being static in one place. I appreciate that.
You know what else too that kind of reflects, now that I think about it? It probably reflects a little bit how okay, that person who just followed, that name is amazing. Welcome to the stream. But like I got so distracted by that. So basically like it feels like, you know, you kind of are watching them develop talent too in a way, right? Like Not Queen, for example, right? Not Queen, she did not have a community manager training, right? Like, I mean, she was a graphic designer before she got this job. Um, and you've seen her kind of grow into this role and become extremely comfortable in this role and things like that. And you can see how they're invested in developing her. And then so some of the things are growing pains in her learning as well, growing pains, and not just her personally, you know, but them learning as well, right? And I think that, you know, some of it you kind of see them kind of growing and cultivating talent too, even though like it's on this like really big scale. They have this really huge game that they're doing with. It's kind of like, but they are kind of cultivating that too. I don't know. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, it does, definitely.
yeah. And so I kind of like, I kind of really like that. You know, I really like that. You know, I like that philosophy a lot. Hawk asked, what's the thing you miss most about Billy before he was castrated? Honestly, the only thing I miss is just a lack of overheat. Like, see, like you get punished overheat to me, and I don't want to get too technical with it because I'm gonna go off. But like, basically, you just shouldn't like the way overheat works, right? You get you build the most heat on your saw when you start your chainsaw, and so if you just happen to kind of the fastest way to overheat is when I'm like just memeing with a survivor. I'm like click 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 my saw, but if you start that saw too many times, you're gonna overheat right then. You take like literally like 5 or 6 times. You just starting your saw and you'll overheat like instantly. And that is, so to me that's just weird, because I think the main reason why people wanted to have one of the reasons I heard is that, you know, you shouldn't be able to back rev survivors forever. But you can still back rev survivors forever. I do that literally all the time. If you start your saw and feather your saw, you're not going to it's going to take you a while to overheat. It is.
Mhm.
But it's just that if you kind of start your saw, you miss a back rev, then you want to start your saw again, you miss a back rev. That's when you get punished with overheat. But you're already punished by missing so many fucking saws. You know what I mean? Saws have a cooldown. You can't just like start another saw instantly anyway. And when you start a saw, you are slower than the survivor when you're revving your chainsaw. So the survivor can gain distance on you. You know, there's so many things. But those are the times that you need as Billy to learn. You know, that's the part of learning Billy. And that's the part you get constantly punished for on Billy currently. You know, so that makes it so you are heavily disincentivized to learn Billy because you get punished so hard learning Billy. And
Yeah.
so I think that's like the biggest issue for me. But because the times where I overheat, I don't overheat that often. But it's usually when I go across the map, I see multiple survivors, I down one, I want to go ahead and down the other, but because I start my assault too many times, I'm going to overheat, so I have to be careful. But no survivor wants to be M1 by Billy, and so that's
Yeah.
just like so it takes
Nope.
the fun from both sides, right? Like right
Yeah.
now, if I see a Millie, I can't be that fucking hard on them. Shit, the game like punishes you so much. Like my standards for a Billy are so low at this point. If you don't face hit me and have no ed, then I'm fine with you. That's basically my standard right now for Billy. Like, and so anyway, I don't know if you have any thoughts about that overheat question, but obviously I have like a lot of thoughts, but. Hawk's exact question was, what's the thing you miss most about Billy before he was castrated?
The thing that I miss most about him is actually getting him in a game.
Right?
Because
Yes.
we get him, what, like once a month? Because
Yeah.
nobody plays him. And I feel like because his skill curve was a little bit higher than most killers, or not most killers, but more higher than like just a regular M1 killer, let's say, for example, I
Mm-hmm.
think people had a harder time like giving him a chance. And so we wouldn't get him as frequently as other killers in comparison. And I think with the changes to his chainsaw, even less people played him because they felt like they couldn't use his chainsaw properly. So it's just getting him in general, you know. Like the chases with him are really they're fun,
They're
in my
so
opinion.
fun.
It's when they actually try to use their power,
Mm-hmm.
it's so much fun. And when they get it, when they get that chainsaw on you, it is so satisfying and you're actually proud of them. You
Yes.
know? So I don't
Yes.
know.
I ran into Zehra actually. Like Zehra Dazzle, I got in game the other day and I just could not believe it. When I looked in lobby, I almost like burst into tears. I was so excited. I was like, I should run like I'm gonna run a streamer. And I was like, wait, there's so many bad maps for Billy. I'm gonna run a map offering. And so I got them, and that was Zara's point too. Like she got greedy at a pallet loop, and she thought because she thought someone M1 her, and I did not M1 her. I curved my saw and got her ass, and she was so
Nice.
happy. Oh my god!
It is so satisfying to be able to hit that too, you know? I
Mm-hmm.
get that.
Yep. Morg asked, "What got you guys into DVD, and why did you keep playing?" So what got me in DVD is it's funny. So when I came to Twitch, this is like a long story now, but like when I came to Twitch back in like I think 2015 is when I first came over to Twitch. It's because I basically, this is like a very ADHD thing. I think I was looking up something about Zelda games, and because I was like, wow, I was like bored at work or something. So I was looking about Zelda games. I was like, wow, there are a lot of Zelda games that have come out since the last time I played a Zelda game. And I think at that time, I think I hadn't played Zelda since like SNES or something like that. And so then I was looking at these games. I was like, oh wait, there's like new games. Let me like look these up on YouTube and see what they're like. And then I found YouTube Let's Plays. It's like, oh, what's a Let's Play? So I was like looking at footage of like Twilight Princess and stuff like that. And then I found this Twilight Princess speed run. I was like, what's a speed run? And so then I'm watching this YouTube video of somebody's like 100% speed run. And then I'm like, who is this person talking to? Like, who are they interacting with during this video? And then you find Twitch. And I was like, oh, what the hell is Twitch? And so, and it's funny too. I actually found, like, back when it was Justin TV, I actually used to watch Justin TV because it was so unregulated back then, Z, that you could watch college basketball games on Justin TV. And so that's the first time I ever came to Twitch was Justin TV. I used to watch basketball games at work. Justin TV.
Oh my gosh.
Girl, I used to be like, that's like the thing I do miss. I used to play so much. I used to watch so much college basketball back in the day. But basically, so I came back to Twitch actually for speedrun. So I was in the Zelda speedrunning community, really, really heavily back then. And then I think Super Mario Maker came out, and I was wanting to watch a little bit of gameplay of that because I was thinking about getting it for my niece and nephew. And so I found a bunch of streamers, and one of the streamers I found who streamed it was Witwix. And I used to watch back in the day a fuck ton of Witwix. And this obviously before like I found out some of the issues and stuff like that, right? And so basically, I used to watch Witwix. I watched him play a lot of Mario Maker, and then he started playing in like July of 2016. So I was watching him. He started playing Dead by Daylight, and I remember being like, I remember like whenever he would switch games, you know, it's one of those people be like, oh, he's not playing Mario Maker anymore, bye, you know? And so it would be one of the people who would leave. But one day I fell asleep, right? I fell asleep while he was playing Mario Maker, and then I woke up and he's playing DBD. And you know that time where you wake up sometimes and you just can't move, right? You're just like so comfy that you just can't move. You're just watching TV, but you can't move. And so he was like playing DBD, but I was tired. I was just watching it. I was just like half awake and watching. And I'm like, this game is really interesting. I was like, wow, this game, what's happening in this game, you know? And then I started watching him, and then I was like, oh, who are these people he's playing with, right? And then that led me to Baru, and then Jen Denise back then, and then started watching like 72 Hours, Diatech, or he was diabetic back then actually, and then so I just watching like a fuck ton of DVD, like, so I remember, so I started watching DVD like a few, like I think it was like, so like it was about a month before Nurse came out, and so I was watching, and then I found myself like looking at perks, combinations, and stuff like that. And I'm just like, oh my god, I'm like super into this game. But back then, I didn't have a Windows-based computer. I had like only Macs, and so I was like, well, I can't play. And so I was looking, I was like, can I play this game? I was like, because I'd never even done PC gaming before either. And so I was just like, I don't even know how I could play this game. And so I had to kind of figure out how to install Windows on my, I was like, maybe I want to try it, right? So I was like, I don't want to spend any money on it. So let's see if I can install like virtual Windows and see how it goes. DVD doesn't run on virtual Windows, so that was a bust. So the first time I bought the game was like before Legacy actually. And then I refunded it because I was like, well, it doesn't run on virtual Windows. I'm not going to spend a ton of money on this. And so I refunded it. And then I kept watching more and more, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna try it. I ended up, I don't know what happened, but one weekend I literally just installed actual Windows on my MacBook. I made a partition for Windows on my MacBook and installed Dead by Daylight. And Dead by Daylight on the MacBook is dog shit. Let me tell you. So this is what I did, right? I hooked it up to my external monitor. I bought a separate keyboard for it. And by separate keyboard, I mean like a $15 separate keyboard, okay? And it was special. That game ran at 8 to 12 frames. And I could not believe I played it like that. So back then, they also had like 4 o'clock skill checks. And if a skill check came on at 4 o'clock, it was over. I couldn't hit it. I just literally could not hit it. The frames were not fast enough for me to hit that skill check. And so it took me so long to rank up because I kept dying because I could not hit skill checks. It was so bad.
I love that. I still can't hit them, girl.
Yeah.
I get that.
And so it's so funny, right? So when I worked at the PAX booth, I was literally playing on this like insane setup.
Must have been such a big difference.
Yeah. And so then after PAX, I was like, well, I don't want to spend any of my personal money on DVD. I want to spend the money that, because they paid me to work at PAX. I got paid like $500. And it was like, and to me, it was like, wow, I got $500. I got all these exclusive codes. Like I had like so many like Chuckles masks. I had a lot of street megs. I used to give them out to friends back then, you know? And so, and back when they were like actual exclusives, not, you know, something you just get in the game. And so anyway, so I bought an external GPU. So I figured out how to hook my MacBook up to external GPU. So now my game ran at 30 frames. It was amazing. Oh. And I played on that setup until November of 2017, when my friend was just like, oh, hey, it's Black Friday. You should get this PC. And I think I got, what I have? A CyberPower PC. So I got a pre-built computer. And then I was at 40 to 50 frames. It was amazing. And now this computer, I have now completely rebuilt. Like I installed a new processor, new GPU. So I know all this shit now. I had not owned like Windows computer personally in years. Like I don't even know if I owned one as an adult. Oh, no, that's not true. I did when I was in grad school. But after that I had Macs. And so like it's hilarious. So yeah, so I have like this huge Windows computer. I have like 3 monitors now. It's wild. All because this goddamn game. And yeah, exactly, Morg. Like and then back in 2017, and you know what? It's funny too. I'm pretty sure I capped my frames at 50 before I got this fucking PC. That's how fucking long I've had my frames capped at 50. I finally last week uncapped my frames, and now I'm like, wow, how did I survive? It's so much easier to track survivors.
It makes such a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah. So that's my DVD story. Like I literally had never played online games in my life. When I was trying to repair a generator and M1 came up, I tried to press the M and the 1 on the keyboard. I was like, why is this not working? It looks so easy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm seriously just like so the one thing the UI change that when it says like it has like a mouse, it has like the actual mouse and the key you press. I'm like I'm telling you that one accessibility change is huge for people like me who never played fucking PC games before.
You were so funny.
I'm just like, what the? I was like, excuse? Oh my god, like it was crazy. So yeah, that is my story.
I love that.
What is your DVD story, Fred?
Well, I mean, it's because it's the whole reason why I like stream the game for my friends to watch because they love watching horror games and watching my reactions, I guess. And I think I had like watched one of my friends play Outlast and he's like, "Yo, there's this game called Dead by Daylight. We should totally play it." And I wasn't sure, so they ended up buying it for me. And it was a group of friends that I've had for quite some time, and they got into a game with me without telling me anything. Nothing. They made me install it and they were like, "We're gonna get into this game and you'll be fine."
Wow. I could not imagine playing this game completely blind. I could not.
I went in, I saw somebody touching bones in one corner. There was Michael Myers staring at me from a distance, and I'm staring at him from behind a bush. I didn't know what I was doing. It was definitely an experience. And I remember just like not knowing like that you could drop pallets. I didn't know that you were actually supposed to like, loop them and stuff. I thought you just had to hide from them. So when I first started playing this game, I was very immersed. I am not proud to say this, but I used to be a P3 blend at main.
Oh,
And I didn't run just Spine Chill, I ran freaking Premonition.
girl, your
Because if
secret
they
is
were
safe with
within
me
my
and everybody in
mm-mm.
this chat.
Like, it wasn't Spine Chill, it was if they were within my vicinity, I was out. I needed to just know that they were there and I was out. Like, if you were near me, nope. I'm gonna go into a locker, I am going to hide, I am going to save my ass. That's how it was.
That's
But, like, that's how I got
amazing.
into it, and I stayed because of the community, because I made so many new friends, and it was actually fun.
Totally. And like for me, like because I watched like 72 hours, when I first started playing this game, I ran around like a fool. I was just like running around like, yeah, I've watched so much DVD. I got this. I had no fucking idea what I was doing. It took me so long to even be able to look behind myself when I ran, you know? And so it was like I was a whole W gamer. Like it's
I
so
honestly
fun.
didn't even start watching streamers until I started streaming. Like, I didn't know anybody, and, I started off watching Crunchy and Jamie, like, Meows. I love
Wow.
them. They were the first people that I watched because, like, I was going through the directory and, like, I scrolled through, like, a couple of different pages, and whoever kept my interest, that's where I stayed. So, I can't even remember who had, like, seen that I didn't it was, like, definitely a bigger stream, but I can't remember who it was. But it was Crunchy and Meows that really kept me, like, in their audience, like, to just keep watching them because they were so fun to watch, and they were having so much fun, and I was like, "I wanna have fun like that too," you know? So, that's
Totally.
yeah.
Totally. And I think that's exactly right. Cause it kind of hit that part of me that I love like saving people and helping people. And
Yeah.
so I was just like, hell yeah. And then I became a Billy main because I think I got like stomped on by Ryan Pez early on. Because matchmaking used to be so much worse. It was so easy to get like
Mhm.
people like especially on the Toronto servers. Like you get people like way more experienced than you like super easily, even beyond rank reset, you know? And so I got Ryan Pez. I remember just being like, this is like the first killer I just feel like just is predicting my every move. I just get so punished for it, and this is so oppressive. And then I used to ask Ryan questions in post game chat. He was so nice to me always. And I was just like, man, I want to be a Billy main. Like I was like, I want to play a killer like this. And I wasn't that motivated to play killer until at the beginning of 2018 when everybody was fucking drunk on Fortnite. I was just like, oh. I was like, I'm not playing Fortnite. I know myself. I'm gonna be
Mhm.
addicted to this new game. Hell the fuck no. And so I decided to be a Billy main. I didn't want to solo queue anymore. That's and then I remember the memories of being stomped by Ryan Pez. And so Ryan Pez is 100% my Billy inspiration for sure. What's the biggest difference, or what stands out the most to both of you from what you experienced when you started streaming to streaming now? Oh, that's such a good question.
Yeah.
You want to go
You
first, friend?
first, Karen?
Oh, okay, I'll go first. So when I first started streaming, I just really was like, this is just going to be some random ass hobby I have, like I'm going to do it when I have some free time. I was going to commit that much energy to it, even though like I made my emotes right away. And Buffalo Lobster, thank you so much for the comment about the emotes, because I made all my own emotes. And so I was just like, it was just something that's just doing on the side, but then I even from the beginning of my stream, well, actually, one of the first things I did in the first month of me streaming was kind of raising money for I don't know if any of you guys know Lateralis. Lateralis was a big community member back in the day. He used to stream a lot. Extremely talented artist. He's like the voice behind a couple of Spins alerts. He basically lost all his belongings in a fire, and so I went to rally the DBD community and raise money for him, and we did. We ended up raising like $800 for him. And Tofu rated me back then, and he was so much smaller then. It's so crazy to see how huge he is now. Tofu rated me, Not Queen rated me, and Not Queen hooked me up with a bunch of codes back then. And so that was like my first like kind of charity streaming, and so then from then it just kind of I still was kind of doing it occasionally, but then I guess like in the spring of last year I just started just doing it more often, because one, my work was really stressful, and I knew I really need to take some more breaks and time for myself. So that was a way for me to do it. And streaming really was a big part of that. And then when everything kind of happened last summer with Black Lives Matter, I don't know, I just kind of like really started taking a lot more not seriously, but like putting a lot more effort into it to kind of making it the best I can do. So basically it kind of went from like this like hobby to me doing like all these creative things in terms of streaming, and even in terms of my charity streaming, and things like that. So it just became something that I just started putting a lot of my creative energy to in a way that I can't do in my day job, for example. So I guess the biggest difference I've seen is that just like having like me streaming more consistently, I've been able to kind of generate like a lot of like have like a lot more like people who I can just like hang out with, people who kind of talk and like give me feedback, and I've been able to do more creative things and develop my own like kind of creativity in terms of things I do on stream. Those are things I kind of noticed that have changed as I've been streaming. Yeah, I don't know if that's like a good answer, but that's kind of weird. But yeah, that's basically what's kind of changed.
I love that. And I don't think there's like a wrong answer, like it's
Yeah,
your experience on it. It's your experience on Twitch, and it's your experience streaming. So, how can that be wrong? That's
true.
awesome to hear, honestly.
Yeah, what about you,
I love
Fred?
that.
Thank you.
I don't know. I feel like for me it's not just like about the creativity, but it's definitely there. Like, as somebody who also has ADHD, like I completely understand, because I have like so much of this energy all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I needed like an outlet. And working at the crisis center, I loved being able to help people, but definitely like that part of me that craved more and needed like something creative and happy to focus my energy on. Like, I loved gaming, so starting with streaming, that's what I started with. That was like a good place for me to start with, like letting my creativity out and kind of like run free and just do its own thing. But I was definitely a lot more shy when I first started, and I still can be a very shy person. But I think it's definitely been like a journey of also like self-acceptance and self-love, and being able to like project that onto other people and give them also a place where they can learn to do that on their own and stuff, and give them like a little bit of guidance. And I know that I've learned healthier ways to do that since I first started streaming over the last couple of years, the last 2 years at least. And I'm just a happier person. I noticed that. I have set boundaries for myself, and I know that I've been able to help a lot of people since the beginning. And that's the biggest difference that I have noticed, is that I'm able to acknowledge that about myself. And that's been the biggest thing for me, the biggest difference that I see from 2 years ago to now.
Totally.
It's not
This
that big.
I never thought about that, but it's so true. Like, I'm so much more sure of my decision making lately, and like I kind of know. I don't know. I think I've been more in touch with my kind of my taste and what I value and what I want, and but it's so hard for me to separate that too, because in the middle of this I got diagnosed with ADHD, and so like and so some of that, because like I know for a fact that a lot of my creativity just got so much more like higher and more focused, like since I not higher, but like I was able to kind of actually complete things that started much more consistently.
Yes. Yes.
And so that part has been so different. So it's kind of hard to kind of separate that journey because it's not separate, because like I think a lot of the growth I've had from streaming in general has been because of the fact that and just life in general, because of the fact that I was diagnosed with ADHD, which is hard to kind of separate, which we should also talk about in the subsequent episode, by the way.
Yeah, it is hard to separate it.
Yeah, it's hard to separate. All right, friends. So we can keep talking about questions, but I think we're gonna like do a little bit of gameplay because I can't stream too much longer.
I'm going into lockers right beside him, and he doesn't even notice.
He also needs a new perk, Hex Ears.
Oh no, it's my fucking quiet girl.
And then Hex Map Awareness.